The Alliance army became stunned as they saw a monstrous, ferocious aura once again surging onto the middle-aged man. On the Hun clan's side, their originally gloating expression had immediately become ugly. "Your Majesty, the former Dragon Emperor, is it really you?" At this moment, Elder Zhu Luo's, whose mind was blurry, had finally awakened. He had also found a face similar to the person in front of him from his distant memory. Immediately, his body trembled continuously from the excitement. Even his old tears had begun to flow. "I have thought that you have completely forgotten about this emperor." The middle-aged man smiled and remarked after heading this. "This little fellow, don't dare to do so." Elder Zhu shook his head repeatedly. Although his external appearance seemed even older, he understood that he was merely a youth back when Ziyan's father was in charge of the ancient Void Dragon tribe. The other elders of the ancient dragon tribe looked at each other. Excitement surged within their eyes. No one had expected that the previous Dragon Emperor, who was rumored to be missing, would actually still be alive in this world. With this being the case, the strength of the ancient Void Dragon tribe would undoubtedly soar. Seeing this ending, which had suddenly become the meeting of long-lost kins, Xiaoyan could only smile bitterly and shake his head. Soon after, a joy rose within their hearts. It was unexpected that this mysterious expert and Ziyin actually had such a relationship. In this way, the situation was going to be turned around. "So you are the previous Dragon Emperor of the ancient Void Dragon tribe." Gu Yuan sighed after seeing that the atmosphere was quite good. He immediately cupped his hands together and laughed. "Although I am older than you, one's strength is still the most important. You can call me Zhu Kuan." That so-called previous Dragon Emperor did not put on airs when facing Gu Yuan. He merely waved his hand and said, "Brother Zhu Kuan." Gu Yuan revealed a smile on his face upon hearing this. He cupped his hands together. It was naturally extremely beneficial to be acquainted with such an expert. "Your Majesty, Xiaoyan is a great benefactor of our ancient dragon tribe. He had rescued our tribe from many critical situations. Moreover, if it was not because of him, Ziyin would not have been able to safely return to our tribe." El Ju stepped forward and spoke respectfully. "Critical situation? How is the ancient Void Dragon tribe like now?" Zhu Kuan was startled upon hearing this. His expression quickly sunk. His era was the peak of the ancient Void Dragon tribe. There was hardly any factions on the continent who would dare to offend him. Elder Zhu hesitated for a moment, after which he roughly explained some of the incidents that had occurred after he, the Dragon Emperor, had gone missing. Zhu Kuan's eyes had a fury flashing over his eyes after he heard the ancient dragon tribe was separated into four. Clearly, he did not expect that these fellows, who had originally been extremely respectful towards him, would actually be so bold after he disappeared. "It seems that I am really muddle-headed this time around." Fortunately, they did not make a big mistake. Some cold sweat had suddenly appeared on Zhu Kuan's forehead after Zhu roughly explained the situation. He smilingly looked at Xiaoyan. The expression on his face was extremely warm. It was completely different from his ferociousness from earlier. From what Zhu had summarized, he could tell that Ziyin had quite a good relationship with this Xiaoyan. Adding this to how Ziyin had risked her life to protect Xiaoyan earlier, he understood that if any mishap had occurred to Xiaoyan today, it was likely that the matter would be difficult to resolve. Xiaoyan was a little speechless as he looked at the extremely warm face. At this moment, all he could do was to shake his head helplessly. He said, "Elder really knows how to joke. Calling me Elder makes us appear like strangers. You're good friends with Ziyin. If you don't mind, you can call me Uncle." Zhu Kuan waved his hand and hurriedly said. Xiaoyan was once again speechless. He was neither able to laugh nor cry as he cupped his hands together and called, "Uncle Zhu Kuan." Zhu Kuan smilingly nodded after seeing this. The corner of his eyes drifted toward Ziyin, who had been quiet. His heart rejoiced a little after seeing that the latter's expression appeared to become somewhat warmer. "Ha ha! Since I have promised my daughter, I will have to take this fellow's life." Zhu Kun turned his head. His eyes looked at Han Tianyi some distance away before he spoke with a grin. Gu Yuan by the side involuntarily smiled. He looked at the extremely ugly expression of Han Tianyi. Suddenly, he had a relaxed feeling of wanting to laugh towards the sky. This was really the case of one's luck being changed. That fellow from earlier was attempting to add insult to injury earlier. However, he did not expect that the situation had been completely turned around in an instant. Based on his senses, Gu Yuan already understood that Zhu Kun was definitely not weaker than him. The latter was also at the Advanced 9-Star Doshin class. With their strength combined, even Han Tianyi would suffer a miserable defeat. It had been many years since I have fought. It is really enjoyable for me to be able to encounter such a big battle immediately after I have been fed. Zhu Kun's body gradually floated. He clenched his fist. Purple golden luster slowly spread from within his body as he stared at Han Tianyi and laughed. Humph! Seeing this sudden change in the situation, Han Tianyi snorted coldly while wearing an ugly expression. The ancient jade in his hand suddenly unleashed a bright light pillar. The light pillar shot down from the sky, after which it directly shot onto the ancient door. He had already used the full strength of the ancient jade. Bang! The ancient door, which had been shut for an extremely long time, suddenly began to shake under the light pillar. Traces of cracks began to appear. The cracks became increasingly huge. A moment later, the ancient stone door was slowly opened towards the side amidst a creaking sound. Chi! An ancient ripple, which seemed to have originated from the ancient times, suddenly rushed out from behind the ancient door the moment it was opened. Both armies seemed to have suffered a heavy blow under this ripple. Their formation was turned into a chaos. Some of the weaker individuals were being forced back by 100,000 feet. Be careful. Xiao Yin hurriedly stabilized his body after seeing the army formation being scattered by this wave. He quickly reminded in a deep voice, "The ancient god mansion is about to be opened." Gu Yuan let out a low cry. His eyes stared intently at those ancient giant doors, which were slowly opening. As it had been finally opened, Zhu Kun was a little absent-minded as he watched this scene. He had tried all sorts of method to open the mansion while he was trapped in that space. However, they were to no avail. He was finally able to see this scene today. Bang, bang, bang. The ancient ripple became even more intense as the stone door was opened. At the end, there were very few experts from both parties who could still remain floating in the air. Gu Yuan, do you know just what is inside the ancient god mansion? Zhu Kun in the sky watched the gradually opening ancient door before suddenly asking, "I'm not very certain. All I know is that the thing inside will allow one to advance to the Do D class." Gu Yuan hesitated for a moment before replying. It is indeed able to allow one to advance into the Do D class. This is because there is an embryonic D pill inside the mansion. If I guess correctly, this should be the target of Han Tianyi. If the latter could obtain it, it is very likely that he will advance into the Do D class. Zhu Kun said, "Oh." Gu Yuan's expression was altered slightly after he heard this. Embryonic D pill. If this was really the case, it might really possess that unbelievable ability. We must not allow Han Tianyi to obtain the embryonic D pill. Otherwise, once he advanced into the Do D class, the Han clan will definitely not let us off, given their character. Gu Yuan spoke in a deep voice. Zhu Kun nodded. He also understood just how terrifying an elite Do D was. Just a realm that the Tu Shi ancient god had used was able to trap him for thousands of years. From this alone, it was possible to tell that the so-called Dosheng was perhaps just like an ant in the eyes of a genuine Dodi. We will take the lead to charge in after the ancient god mansion is fully opened. As long as we are able to obtain the D-tier embryonic pill before Han Tiendi, it would not be too difficult for us to kill him given our strength. Zhu Kun said. We will do as Brother Zhu Kun suggests. The two of them came to a quick agreement. With Zhu Kun's help, Gu Yuan no longer needed to worry about being unable to deal with Han Tiendi. Xiaoyan smiled as he looked at Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun, who were standing proudly. With such an expert aiding them, the situation had been changed almost instantly. Xiaoyan gently exhaled. He turned his head to look at Ziyin beside him. She was startled as she looked at Zhu Kun's back. From the looks of it, it seemed that she had not managed to recover from reality. Xiaoyan could only sigh softly in the face of this. Xiaoyan, do you think that I should recognize him? Ziyin turned her head, looked at Xiaoyan, and suddenly asked, If it is not because I was lucky back then, I would have already become the food of other magical beasts. You should just do what your heart tells you to. There are no parents who do not love their children in this world. I have been to the place where he was trapped at. It was a dark and lonely place. His life during these years was also likely quite hard. Xiaoyan hesitated for a moment before he spoke in an appropriate manner. He understood that Ziyin felt a little lost at this father of hers who had suddenly appeared. She did not know how she should deal with this matter. Ziyin nodded quietly, but did not speak. Xiaoyan spread his hands and did not say anything more. Such matters must ultimately be resolved by Ziyin. Rumble. The ripple emitted from huge, ancient stone door became increasingly fierce while Xiaoyan was chatting with Ziyin. The gap between the large doors became bigger and bigger when the fluctuation was emitted. At the end, it had finally completely stiffened under the loud sound. Bang! A fluctuation that seemed to have originated from the prehistoric time suddenly spread as the ancient stone doors were fully opened. The entire sea of magma had been blasted until huge waves were formed. The land trembled. Many 10,000 feet large deep abyss were formed. The purifying, demonic lotus flame covered Xiaoyan's body. He did his best to reject that kind of prehistoric pressure. The entire area within a 50-kilometer radius seemed to only possess the top experts from both parties. The remaining individuals were forcefully scattered apart. Some strange ripples was suddenly formed over the ancient stone door. The space became distorted. That huge door seemed to have agglomerated into a seemingly transparent tunnel. Move! Gu Yuan and Zhu Kun rushed forward at the same time the moment the transparent tunnel was formed. Han Tiendi and the Nihility devouring flame had also turned into two rays of light, which charged into the tunnel with lightning-like speed. We should also go. Xiaoyan let out a low cry after seeing this scene. He rushed forward with extreme speed, enduring the dense pressure and charged directly into the tunnel. The experts from both parties also swarmed in from behind. The entire sky became empty as the many individuals charged into the tunnel. Only that ancient large door continued to quietly stand above the sea of magma. A faint fog enveloped around this mysterious space, causing the entire area to appear misty. This space was completely quiet. That manor was as though it had been quiet for eons. A piece of land floated in this seemingly vast and boundaryless space. The land was suspended in the air without any support. It appeared just like a pavilion in the air. Chi! The loneliness that had lasted for a long time had finally been broken today. The misty space had suddenly become distorted. Immediately, a huge spatial tunnel appeared. Soon after, many figures suddenly rushed out from within. Finally, they landed on that plot of land. Is this the ancient god mansion? Xiaoyan's body had just landed on the ground when his eyes hurriedly swept around him. However, He was stunned to discover that even with the great strength of his D-state soul, he was actually unable to probe beyond a 10,000 feet radius. Clearly, this place imposed quite a great pressure towards spiritual strength. Sun Er, Kai Lin, and the rest had also swiftly appeared beside Xiao Yin. Their eyes revealed a cautious expression as they watched this mysterious space. With the many human figures appearing, the experts from both parties also hurriedly separated, after which they stared at the other side with cautious eyes as they readied themselves for various sneak attacks. Do not be delayed by them. Let's go. The Nihility devouring flame glanced at Gu Yuan's group, after which his eyes turned towards this realm. There was some strange fluctuation appearing within his eyes, after which he spoke in a soft voice. He subsequently took the lead to hurry into the distance. Han Tianyi and the experts from the Han clan quickly followed. The Nihility devouring flame is actually aware of the way. Gu Yuan was startled after he saw this scene. Even he could sense some pressure after arriving in this place. It was impossible for him to probe and locate the D-tier embryonic pill within such a short time. Unexpectedly, this Nihility devouring flame seemed to be extremely familiar with the way. The Nihility devouring flame, huh? Zhu Kun was surprised. He immediately nodded while being in a deep thought. It is not surprising for him to know the way. Follow them. Zhu Kun did not give any explanation after his voice sounded. He directly took the lead to give chase. Gu Yuan and the others hesitated for a moment before quickly following him. The two groups charged forward with full force on this seemingly vast and endless land. They were just like falling stars that swiftly cut through the sky. This fast charging continued for over a dozen minutes. Finally, the speed of the Nihility devouring flame and the others in front were gradually reduced. Gu Yuan, Xiao Yin, and the others swiftly gave chase after their speed was reduced. After which, they looked at the ancient stone hall, which appeared on that spacious plains. A fiery heat flashed within their eyes. The stone hall stood quietly on the vast and endless plains. An ancient aura spread from it and reverberated across the space. In front of the stone hall was an incomparably huge square. There were many 10,000 feet large towering pillars standing on both sides of the square. A towering like majestic aura pounced over from that place. Xiao Yan's group carefully landed on the square. Some rubbing sound quietly sounded on the stone ground as their footsteps landed. There was some distance between both parties, after which they occupied both sides of the hall. They opened their strides and cautiously walked towards the square. This square was extremely spacious. Everyone felt as though they were ants crawling in the desert as they walked on it. It was difficult for them to see its boundary. However, everyone present could already be considered the strongest people on the Doqi continent. All of them possessed some mental toughness. Hence no one created an uproar. Everyone's hearts were filled with some respect and fear in this divine-like place. Huh! Xiao Yan's footsteps suddenly paused as he walked. He turned his head and looked at the top of a stone pillar a short distance in front. There was a cluster of deep yellow-colored flame rising from it. This kind of flame allowed Xiao Yin to see from a glance that it was a kind of heavenly flame. If he guessed correctly, this should be the mysterious yellow flame that was ranked 23rd on the heavenly flame ranking. Why is this heavenly flame so weak? However, Xiao Yin soon began to frown. This was indeed the mysterious yellow flame. However, it appeared extremely weak and tiny. Its appearance was as though the strength that was originally within the heavenly flame had been completely lost. Qi! A flame suddenly gathered on Xiao Yan's shoulder as he felt some doubts. After which, little E appeared in a flash. It looked at this quiet square, and a somewhat lost expression suddenly surged within its eyes. This place is very familiar. Xiao Yan's footsteps suddenly paused after he heard Little Yi's low voice. He turned his head and looked at Little Yi in shock. Familiar? This was the ancient god mansion. Who could be familiar with this place? What happened? Light flashed across Xiao Yan's eyes. A thought appeared in his heart, and it was transmitted to Little Yi's heart. I don't know. I simply feel that this place is a little familiar. It seems that I have been here in the past, Little Yi replied while feeling lost. Xiao Yan's expression changed rapidly. Been here in the past? How could it be possible? The ancient god mansion was open for the first time. Before this, he had never heard of the ancient god mansion being open before. Hence, Xiao Yan's first thought was that it was ridiculous when he heard Little Yi mentioned that it seemed to have been to this place before. Soon after, however, he thought that Little Yi, who was mentally connected to him, would definitely not lie. In this way, it seemed that there is a very high possibility that what Little Yi had said was true. However, Xiao Yan did not understand why Little Yi would feel that this place was familiar. Xiao Yan frowned tightly. His footsteps caught up with the others. At this moment, everyone had also discovered the heavenly flames on the stone pillars. However, the heavenly flames was ranked too far behind. Hence, they did not pay much attention to it. However, they had walked for another 1,000 feet when another towering stone pillar appeared. There was also a cluster of flame rising on the stone pillar. 10,000 Beast Spirit Flame, ranked 22nd on the Heavenly Flame ranking. Xiao Yan slowly exhaled as he looked at the cluster of rising red flame, which vaguely revealed the appearance of tens of thousands of beasts. His eyes flashed, after which he looked forward. His footsteps sped up greatly. Seeing this, Gu Yuan and the others hurriedly followed. They once again advanced by 1,000 feet. Another stone pillar appeared. There was also a different heavenly flame rising from it. However, these heavenly flames did not possess an overly great strength. At a glance, it appeared just like a decoration. However, Xiao Yan, who was well versed in heavenly flames, understood that these heavenly flames were not fake. They were all genuine heavenly flames. These heavenly flamed. Gu Yuan's group looked at this scene. Their eyes revealed a shocked expression. It seems that the heavenly flame ranking is higher the further in front it is located, Xiao Yan softly muttered. He turned his head and looked at Little Yi, which was sitting on his shoulder. After which, his eyes turned to the Nihility devouring flame a short distance away. The latter's emotion also seemed to have a big ripple. However, there seemed to be a lost expression similar to that of Little Yi in them. Faster, Xiao Yan urged, after which he quickened his footsteps. The group hurriedly followed. With their increase in speed, many towering stone pillars appeared one after another. The heavenly flames ranked on the heavenly flame rankings rose, these stone pillars. Amongst these heavenly flames, Xiao Yan could see an extremely familiar green lotus core flame, fallen heart flame, sea heart flame, bone-chilling flame, etc. It is unexpected that the two-she ancient god actually loves to collect heavenly flames. After seeing the 6th ranked flame on the heavenly flame ranking, the 8th wasteland destruction flame, even Gu Yuan could not resist exclaiming, I wonder if the legendary top 3 ranked heavenly flames on the heavenly flame ranking are here? Yan Jin nodded. He suddenly looked at Little Yi on Xiao Yan's shoulder and the Nihility devouring flame a short distance away. Although heavenly flames were rare in this world, there were more than one of each type. However, the top 3 ranked heavenly flames were different. Normally speaking, if there was a purifying demonic lotus flame or a nihility devouring flame existing in this world, there would not be a second flame of the same type appearing. Yet, the purifying demonic lotus flame and the nihility devouring flame were both currently present. One was in Xiao Yan's hands while the other had turned into a human shape to aid the Hun clan. Could that Tu-Shi ancient god have created a second purifying demonic lotus flame and nihility devouring flame? Go! Yen Jin was clearly not the only person who had such thoughts. Even those from the Hun clan and swiftly increased their speed after exchanging glances. The two groups quickly hurried over the spacious square. A moment later, all the figures came to a sudden halt. At this moment, they had gradually approached the end of the square. Another two towering stone pillars appeared in everyone's sight after they passed by the fourth-ranked gold emperor incinerating heavenly flame. Everyone immediately threw their eyes towards the top of the stone pillars the moment they saw the two giant-looking pillars. This time around, however, they did not see any heavenly flame rising from them. The top of the stone pillars were empty. The expected purifying demonic lotus flame and nihility devouring flame were absent from them. In other words, it seemed that these two types of heavenly flames were not included in the Tu-Shi ancient gods collection. Everyone sighed softly after seeing this. They appear to feel a slight regret. These are the last two stone pillars. It seems that even the Tu-Shi ancient god is unable to obtain the legendary first-ranked heavenly flame. Gu Yuan also spoke somewhat regretfully after seeing the end of the square after the two stone pillars. Xiao Yan did not interrupt. His eyes were merely startled as he stared at the two empty stone pillars. His hands slowly touched little E on his shoulder. Suddenly, he recalled the familiar feeling that little E had mentioned earlier, and how the nihility devouring flame knew the way here. Xiao Yan touched the purifying demonic lotus flame, after which he glanced at the nihility devouring flame, only to discover that the latter was looking at the last pillar with a lost expression. The feelings he showed, seeing the somewhat strange expression of the nihility devouring flame, a thought that caused one's head to become numb, slowly rose from within Xiao Yan's heart. It is not that the Tu-Shi ancient god had not collected the purifying demonic lotus flame and the nihility devouring flame. Instead, the both of them had fled from this place.